Good morning, everyone. I am Jed Aries M. Dinglasan, and together with my partner Fraize, Justinne, Tayamora, we will be presenting the chapter 13 of our lesson entitled Direct Financing Lease sa part ng Lessor. Okay, so ano yung objectives natin for this lesson? Number 1, to know the finance lease classification on the part of the lessor. Okay? Next is to distinguish a direct financing lease and a sales type lease, to understand gross investment and net investment in a direct financing lease, and to recognize interest income in a direct financing lease using effective interest method, and lastly, to define a direct financing lease. Okay? So, finance lease is a lease that transfers substantially all the risk and rewards incidental to ownership of an underlying asset. Okay, so hindi na natin masyadong i-elaborate yung meaning ng finance lease, lalo na yung term na substantially all, dahil ito ay na-discuss na ng aking mga groupmates sa previous chapters. Okay? So, pupunta tayo ngayon sa classification nitong mga finance lease na to. Okay? So, meron tayong tinatawag na direct financing lease and sales type lease. Okay? So, in terms of recognition, ang difference nila, itong direct financing lease, only yung interest income lang yung nire-recognize natin. Unlike sa sales type lease, na pati yung gross profit on sale, nire-recognize natin siya. Okay? So, for this topic, dito tayo mag-focus sa direct financing lease. Okay? So, what is a direct financing lease? So, direct financing lease is an arrangement between a financing entity and a lessee. Okay, so for this type of finance lease, ang lessor natin ay yung mismong financing business. So, sila yung nagiging lessor natin sa transaction na to. And yung lessee is someone who contracts with those financing business to rent something or to rent building, machineries, equipments, etc. Okay? So, gaya ng sabi natin kanina, yung income nitong mga financing business na to sa isang lease transaction ay i-recognize lang natin in the form of interest income at wala tayong dealer profit. Okay, so ito naman yung mga accounting considerations na kailangan nating tandaan when we are dealing with a direct financing lease. Okay? So number 1, meron tayong tinatawag na gross investment. So gross investment, it is equal to the lease receivable in the part of the lessor. Okay? The total lease receivable for the whole term. Okay? So ano bang nakapaloob sa gross investment natin? Sa gross investment natin, nakasama doon yung number 1, yung gross rentals for the entire term. Kung magkano yung total na rental na babayaran sa atin ng lessee. Okay? Plus absolute amount of residual value. Once we say residual value, ito yung remaining fair value nung underlying asset na nirentahan once na ibinalik na to sa lessor. Okay? So, meron tayong tinatawag na guaranteed or unguaranteed. Pag sinabi natin guaranteed, bali, gina-guarantee sa atin na may matitirang ganitong value yung asset after nung buong lease term natin. Okay? So, number 2, net investment. Okay? Once we say net investment, ang nakapaloob naman dito ay yung cost ng asset na ipaparenta natin plus any initial direct cost. Okay? So, in journal entries, ito yung katumbas ng mismong asset. For example, machinery, equipment. Ito yung nilalagay nating cost niya. Okay? So, once we say initial direct cost, ito yung mga cost na if ever man na hindi natin in-acquire yung asset, hindi natin siya may incur. Okay. So, itong gross investment natin, mostly, it is the cost plus the interest. Okay? Then, itong investment is yung mismong total cost ng asset. So, kung titingnan natin, ang difference ng gross investment at ng net investment ay yung tinatawag nating interest. Okay? So, bakit siya naging unearned interest income? Kasi, it is an interest income pero hindi pa natin siya nare-realize kasi nga annual pa sa ating babayaran. Diba? Okay, so itong unearned income na to, annually, ina-amortize natin siya para malaman natin, may record natin kung ilan yung total interest income na na-earn natin annually. Okay? So, punta tayo sa mga illustrations. Post nyo muna yung video, then resume nyo na lang after yung basahin. Okay? Okay. So, ito yung computation. Ang una nating kukuhanin ay yung annual rent. Okay? So, ito. Saan nga ba nakuha itong annual rent na to? Na 500,000. Okay. So, it is computed by dividing the net investment of 1,518,650 pesos sa ating present value factor of an ordinary annuity of 1 for 4 years at 12% dahil ito yung interest natin na 3.0373. Okay? So, ulitin ko lang. Net investment natin, i-divide natin siya sa ating present value factor. In which case, dito ay 3.0373 para makuha natin ang annual rental which is 500,000 pesos. Okay, so annually, magbabayad sa atin ng 500,000 si lessee. Okay? So, next naman natin kukunin ay yung interest income naman natin. Okay? So, gaya nga ng sabi ko kanina, ang gross investment or yung gross rentals natin, ito yung lahat ng rentals na babayaran sa atin for the whole lease term. Okay, so yung 500,000 natin na annual payment, imumultiply natin siya sa lease term na 4 years and we will get 2 million gross investment or gross rentals. Okay, so kukunin naman natin yung ating net investment. Gaya nga ng sabi ko kanina, yung net investment natin it is equal to the cost of machinery or building or service vehicle o kung ano mang nirerentahan ng lessee sa lessor. Okay? So, in this illustration, ang cost of machinery natin ay 1,518,650. Okay, so if you remember our accounting consideration here, ang unearned interest na income natin ay makukuha natin by deducting the net investment sa gross investment. Okay? So, balik tayo. 2 million minus 1,518,650, makukuha natin yung unearned interest income natin na 481,350 pesos. Okay, so punta naman tayo sa ating mga journal entries. Okay, so to record our lease transaction here, bale ang lease receivable natin, gaya ng sabi ko, it is equal to the gross investment or gross rentals na nakuha natin dito. It is 2 million pesos. Okay, then we will credit yung machinery na pinarentahan natin for 1,518,650 or yung net investment natin. Okay? Then, along with that is the unearned interest income na 481,350 pesos. Okay? So, annually, since magko-collect tayo ng cash payment, ito yung magiging journal entries natin for that. We will debit cash for 500,000, then lease receivable, mababawasan tayo ng 500,000. Okay? So, to recognize and record the unearned interest income, di ba, gaya nga ng sabi ko kanina, annually, na-amortize natin yung interest income kasi annually, kailangan ma-record natin, ma-journalize natin kung ilan na ba yung na-earn natin. Okay? So, here is the table of amortization. Okay, yung total unearned interest income natin is 481,350. Okay? So, i-amortize natin siya for 4 years. And here's the table. For January 1, 2021, we will start with 1,518,650 na present value nung machinery during that time. Okay? So, by December 31, 2021, makaka-receive tayo ng payment na 500,000, which is ito yung annual payment natin, annual rentals. Okay? Then, magkakaroon tayo ng interest. Ang given implicit interest rate natin is yung 12%. Okay? 12%. So, kukunin natin yung 12% ng ating present value and it will result to 182,238 pesos. So, yun yung interest natin for 2021. Okay? So, ito naman principal, ito lang yung pinaka nababawa sa present value natin. Okay? 500,000 yung nare-receive nating pera, pero since merong interest na kasama yon, etong principal lang talaga yung nababawas sa ating present value. So, para makuha tong principal, ibabawas natin yung interest dito sa ating annual payment. Okay. So, magkakaroon tayo ng 317,762. Then, i-deduct natin siya sa preceding present value which is 1,518,650 para makuha natin yung remaining present value for this year which is 1,200,888. Okay? So, same process siya sa 2022. Annual payment of 500,000. Magkakaroon tayo ng interest, 12% ng 1,200,888. Makakuha tayo ng 144,107. Then, principal natin is deduction of interest sa payment, 355,893, which we will deduct sa preceding present value na 1,200,888 para makuha natin yung present value for the year 2022 na 844,995. Okay? So, ganun lang yan, dire-diretso lang hanggang sa makarating tayo sa dulo nung lease term. Okay? So, mapapansin natin dito, nag-zero out na yung present value natin at the end of the lease terms, which means wala tayong residual value. Okay, so after amortization, madali na nating makikita yung interest, yung principal, yung payment, ng hiwa-hiwalay na sila. Okay, so let's journalize the recognition of interest income. Okay, so first year, i-record natin, okay, balikan lang natin, 182,238 pesos na interest. Okay, so yung interest na yon, since tapos na natin siyang i-earn from an earned interest income, ililipat na natin siya sa ating interest income. Okay? So, same thing lang sa 2022 for 144,107. Okay? So, that wraps up yung illustration natin kanina for a simple direct financing lease. Okay? So, punta naman tayo dun sa direct financing lease na merong kasamang initial direct cost. Okay? So, if you can remember, initial direct cost, nakakadagdag siya sa ating net investment kasama ng cost of machinery. Okay? So, pause nyo muna ulit yung video, then continue nyo after basahin yung illustration. Okay. So, gaya nga ng sabi ko, initial direct cost, makakadagdag to sa ating net investment. Okay, so we have here the computation for the new investment in the lease. Okay? Cost of machinery natin kanina, 1,518,650 plus the initial direct cost na na-incur natin. Okay? So, given sa ating illustration, 66,300 pesos. Okay, so ang bago nating net investment sa lease transaction na ito ay 1,584,950. Okay? So, since tumaas yung net investment natin, magkakaroon siya ng inverse effects sa ating interest income at doon sa ating mismong implicit interest rate. Okay? So, bababa sila. So, to compute for the new unearned interest income, ibabawas lang natin yung gross rentals kanina na hindi naman nagalaw yon minus net investment na bago, which is 1,584,950. Okay, so magkakaroon tayo ng bagong unearned interest income for 415,050 pesos. Okay? So, since nagbago nga yung net investment natin, kailangan magbabago din yung implicit interest rate natin. Kasi kung 12% pa rin yung gagamitin natin, hindi na siya mag-i-equal dito sa ating bagong net investment. Kasi nga, this is equal doon sa dati nating net investment na 1,518,650. Okay? So, dahil doon, kailangan nating i-determine yung bagong implicit interest rate. Okay? So, mostly, ito ay nagiging trial and error. Okay? Hahanapin natin yung implicit interest rate na equal dito sa bagong net investment. Okay? So, to do that, punta tayo dito sa ating table. Since bumaba siya from 12%, itatry natin yung 11%, 10%, 9%, hanggang sa makuha natin kung ano man yung i-equal dun sa bago nating net investment. Okay, for example, to. Tatry natin gamitin yung implicit rate na 11%. Okay? So, kung titingnan natin dito, for 4 terms tayo, 11%. Ang ating present value factor ay 3.1024. Okay? So, i-multiply natin yung 3.1024 sa annual payment natin na 500,000 and you will get 1,551,200 pesos, which is lower than our new net investment. So, hindi pa rin ito yon. Tatry natin, gamitin naman yung 10%. Okay? Balik tayo sa table. Sa 10%, 4 terms, 10%, ang ating present value factor ay 3.1699. Okay? So once we multiply 3.1699 sa ating annual payment na 500,000, we will get 1,584,950. And coincidentally, it is equal sa ating bagong net investment. So we will use ngayon yung 10% as our new implicit interest rate. Okay? So, balik na tayo sa ating illustration at yung journal entries natin. Okay? So, since nagkaroon tayo ng initial direct cost, i-record natin siya sa side ng machinery. Okay? So, sa machinery natin siya idadagdag kasi nga directly related yung cost na yon doon sa machinery natin. Okay? So, we will record that for 66,300 pesos. So, tataas ngayon. Dadagdag ngayon yan sa carrying amount ng ating machinery. Okay? So, we will record ngayon yung ating lease transaction. Magkakaroon tayo ng lease receivable, which is yung gross investment pa rin natin. Hindi naman siya nagbago. 2 million pa rin siya. Then, yung machinery natin na magiging 1,584,950, which is yung bago nating net investment. Okay? Then, yung bago rin nating unearned interest income na 415,050 pesos. Okay? Then, pareho lang din sa kanina, we will record the annual collection of rentals na 500,000 pesos, debit cash, and credit our lease receivable. Okay? So, just the same, i-amortize natin yung interest income para malaman natin kung ilan na yung na-earn natin annually. Okay, so, yan. Pause nyo muna ulit yung video to examine or to analyze the table of amortization. Then, continue after. Okay. So, the same process lang din naman yan sa kanina nating table of amortization. The difference is nag-iba lang yung ating implicit interest rate. Pero kung papansin nyo, zero out pa rin tayo sa present value ng dulo kasi nga wala nga tayong residual value. Okay? So, mag-proceed na tayo sa pag-entry or journal entry nung interest income na yon. The same lang din sa kanina. Kukunin natin dito sa amortization table yung annual interest na nakukuha natin. Then, i-record natin siya, ililipat natin from unearned interest papuntang interest income. Okay? So, let's proceed dito sa ating statement of financial position. Okay, ngayon kapag ni-recognize natin ang lease receivable, ni-recognize natin siya as partly current and partly non-current. Kasi nga, for example, di ba, 4 years yung term natin. Okay? And dito sa example natin, nabukasan na siya ng isang taon kasi December 31, 2021 na to. Okay? So, sa isang taon, 500,000 yung rental natin. So, ibabawas na natin siya sa 2 million gross investment natin. Meron na lang tayong remaining carrying amount ng lease receivable na 1.5 million. Okay, within that 1.5 million, it is still payable for 3 years. Okay? So, yung payable for 1 year, isasama na natin siya as current. Okay? Yung 500,000, 'di ba? That is for 1 year. Isasama na natin siya as current kasi nga 1 year na lang naman babayaran na siya. Pasok na siya sa criteria para maging current asset. Okay? Then the remaining lease receivable na 1 million, i-recognize na natin siya as non-current pa din. Then, IFRS 16, paragraph 67, it states na ang lessor, kailangan nating i-recognize yung assets natin sa net investment. Okay. So, remember what net investment is. Ito yung pinaka-cost lang natin. And ang lease receivable natin dito, ito yung gross investment natin. So, we have to deduct the interest income or the unearned interest income para makuha natin yung carrying amount na i-recognize natin as net investment. So, that ends this illustration for direct financing lease with initial direct cost.
For the next illustration, we have direct financing lease with residual value. Dito, the gross investment is equal to gross rental na ina-expect natin plus the absolute amount of residual value, whether guaranteed or unguaranteed. And dito, katulad lang din ng mga previous problems ang gagawin natin. Magkakaroon lang ng difference sa computation, but the entry, treatment, and computation of amortization table is the same. On January 1, 2021, si Lessor Company ay nag-lease ng machinery amounting to 3,194,410 and the residual value is 500,000, the useful life and lease term of 4 years, and implicit interest rate is 10%. Nakalagay din dito na the machinery will revert to the lessor at the end of the lease term because there is neither a transfer nor a purchase option. And dito, kapag meron siyang residual value guarantee or residual value unguaranteed, ang ibig sabihin niyan, walang magiging transfer of ownership at the end of the lease term or purchase option. The problem is the determination of annual rental. The annual rental is payable at the end of each year with the first payment on December 31, 2021. So we have the present value here of 1 at 10% for 4 periods at annuity para sa series of payments. Meron present value of 1 dito dahil ang residual value ay one time lang ma-receive, therefore hindi siya series of payments. Kaya yun yung gagamitin na present value sa residual value. While for the rental, we will be using annuity. Let's now compute for the annual rental. The cost of machinery of 3,194,410 and present value of residual value. So, kita naman dito na yung 500,000 dito. Yung 500,000 na ginamit lang natin is yung present value of 1 since one-time collection lang ang mangyayari. So, ibabawa siya sa cost of machinery in order for us to determine the net investment to be recovered from rental. So, ganun ang nagiging treatment since initially ang cost of machinery ay yung initial investment. Kung wala naman, ikaw residual value, but since meron, kaya ibinawas natin then divided by the present value of an ordinary annuity, kaya nakuha natin ang annual rental of 900,000. Kung mapapansin din natin, ito yung nakalagay sa amortization table kasi sa given, hindi ibinigay ang annual rental. Sabi din dito, note that the present value of residual value is deducted from the cost of the asset if the machinery if it will not revert to the lessor at the end of the lease term. Sinabi din kanina na it will revert daw. Otherwise, if the machinery will not revert to the lessor at the end of the lease term, the residual value is completely ignored. Kapag daw ang arrangement is will not revert to the lessor, meaning hindi babalik, i-ignore daw yung present value of residual value kasi magkakaroon ng transfer of ownership. Now, nakuha na natin yung gross rental, and then, pwede na natin makuha ang gross investment. So, gross rental of 900K times 4 years is 3.6 million. And then, residual value ay kasama. So, the gross investment will be 4.1 million. And then, minus cost of machinery, therefore, the difference is 905,590. Unearned invested income that we have to amortize to determine kung magkano ang i-recognize natin sa na-interest income. So, kung i-record natin ang transaction as of 2001, again, we debit lease receivable 4.1. Dito na tayo. Ayan. Kung mapapansin natin sa table, the present value of cost of machinery ay andito and then multiplied by 10%, yung nasa taas since that's the implicit interest rate, and then same pa rin naman ang procedure natin. So, kung i-record natin ang transaction as of 2021, again, we debit lease receivable 4.1 M, which is gross investment. And then, machinery na given naman and the difference of 905,590 unearned investment income. Pagkatapos, nakatanggap tayo ng payment at the end of the year. Debit cash and credit lease receivable 900K thousand. And then, kung magkano yung i-amortize natin or recognize na interest income. At galing yan doon sa amortization table. Sabi dito, when the lease expires on December 31, 2004, 2004, the machinery will revert to the lessor, whether guaranteed or unguaranteed. The entry on the books of the lessor will be the same dahil it will revert to the lessor, meaning babalik. So, nung bumalik na, tapos na yung lease term. Nag-debit ng machinery at nag-credit ng lease receivable. Next. The accounting problem is when the fair value of the machinery, which is 400,000, which is lower than the residual value of 500,000. Under the guaranteed scenario or guaranteed residual value, the lessee shall pay for the difference to the lessor. So, the journal entry of the lessor. Kung mapapansin dito, ang fair value of the machinery is 400K, which is lower than residual value of 500K. Now, under the guaranteed scenario, the lessee shall pay for the difference to the lessor since if we imagine the residual value is 500k but the fair value is only 400k. Therefore, on the part of the lessor, makaka-receive siya ng difference which is yung 100k, 100k. And then, yung machinery since will revert and then credit lease receivable of 500,000. And under guaranteed scenario naman, magre-recognize si lessor ng loss since wala siyang matatanggap na cash kasi nga unguaranteed. Now, for another set of problem, dito guaranteed naman. On January 1, 2021, si Lessor Company may cost of machinery na 3,760,100 pesos. Residual value guarantee 400,000. Useful life and lease term same 4 years pa rin at yung implicit interest rate. The annual rental is payable in advance, meaning yung ibibigay sa yung lease term na 4 years, ang magiging treatment mo dyan pag magko-compute ka ng present value factor, mababawasan ng isa since naka-advance na. Since the residual value is guaranteed, the machinery will revert to the lessor at the end of the lease term. Yan. So, the relevant present value factors are present value of 1 at 10% for 4 periods at gagamitin ulit sa residual value and the present value of annuity of 1 in advance at 10% for 4 periods. And then, kukumputin ulit natin ang annual rental. Yan. So, we have cash on machinery of 3,760,100 and then the present value of residual value. And kaya siya ibinawas kasi nga it will revert to the lessor. So we have the net investment divided by the present value factor. Kaya nakuha natin ang annual rental of 1 million. Now, we will now compute for the gross investment. So, 4M times 4 years, then add natin ang residual value to get the gross investment. Now, we have to less the net investment, which is the cost of machinery to get the unearned interest income. And as for the amortization table, wala namang pinagbago. Ganun pa rin i-compute katulad ng previous problem. So, kung mapapansin natin sa unang year, dito, wala kasi naka-advance na siya. So, the first payment will be considered annual rental lang. So, for the journal entry, same pa rin. On January 1, debit lease receivable, which is the gross investment, and then, machinery na net investment, then, yung difference nila will be the unearned interest income. Dahil nga advance ang pag-collect ng interest, debit cash 1M, and credit lease receivable. Then, on December 31, nanggaling yung 276,010 pesos sa ating amortization table, and so on and so forth. And every January 1, again, every first year, nakaka-receive tayo. And same lang din sa taas at yung 200 3,611 galing lang ulit sa amortization table. So, i-continue lang natin siya until such time na makarating tayo sa end. So, on this date, the fair value of the machinery is 3,000 pesos only. Tapos, the guaranteed residual value is 400,000. Therefore, the lessee shall pay for the difference of 100,000 to the lessor. So, we debit cash 100K, machinery na 300K, and credit lease receivable of 400K. So, for the last illustration, DFL transfer of title to lessee. Kanina walang transfer of ownership sa residual value. But this time, meron naman daw. Yan. On January 1, 2021, Lessor Company leased a machinery. So again, cost of machinery of 3,449,600, residual value, useful life, and lease term of 5 years, and implicit interest rate of 8 years at in advance ulit. So, every January 1, babayaran. The lease provided for a transfer of title to the lessee at the end of the lease term. And binigay na rin yung present value of annuity, which is yung 4.312 present value factor. So, the cost of machinery to be recovered ay i-divide sa present value of annuity to get the annual rental. Yan. Kung mapapansin din natin, ignored yung residual value kasi nga may transfer of title at the end of this term. Nakalagay din dito na the residual value is completely ignored. Yan. Note also the annual rental payable is in advance. Thus, the annuity of 1 in advance or annuity due factor is used in the computation. Again, gross investment and then yung net investment, yung difference nila to get the unearned interest income. Kaya nakuha yung 550,400 pesos. Again, same lang ulit siya ng pagko-compute. At pati yung pag-prepare ng amortization table. So, hindi na natin i-discuss ulit yan kasi katulad lang yan nung kanina. So, sa January 1, we will debit lease receivable o the gross investment and then credit machinery kasi mawawala na siya. And then yung unearned interest income, naka-advance na rin yung payment of interest kaya debit cash, credit lease receivable na 800,000. And on December 31, unearned interest income at i-recognize natin ay 200,000, 211,968 na makikita sa table, and so on and so forth.
So that ends our presentation for the 13th chapter of our lesson entitled Direct Financing List sa part ng Lessor. Thank you for listening and have a good day, guys.